Hi, everybody. I'm Allison Freyberg, and welcome to the Writing Lounge. Today, we are going to be working on evaluating sources for credibility. Now, for those of you who haven't been to the Writing Lounge, who haven't met me yet, this is a little bit about me. You can find out more about the Writing Lounge by scanning that QR code, and you can also find out about the other things I do on campus, which includes being the associate director for our international programs. I teach a lot of our travel courses. I teach leadership communication, consulting course, critical thinking, and of course the Writing Lounge. So I welcome you to connect with me in whichever platform you prefer. All right, evaluating sources. Now, which of these sentences resonates with you? Number one, what's wrong with Googling until I find enough sources to back up my point? Number two, hey, as long as I found it through the library, it's good, right? And number three, I want to use good sources, but I'm not sure what makes a source credible. Now, there might be a little bit of everything for you that, sort of resonates with you. And that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to make sure you are finding sources that are valuable, accurate, and relevant. Let's first identify the kinds of sources that you're going to run into in your academic projects. The first thing you're going to find are scholarly peer-reviewed sources. Now, these are sources that have gone through a very rigorous editorial process. They are usually written by academics and scholars in the field who have expert analytical abilities to work on these subjects. We are actually going to work on this in the next Writing Lounge when we have a guided orientation to Armacost Library. You can also find and come across industry, trade, and government publications. Now, these are reports by the government. They're also reports and commentary by people within a specific industry. So they have a different set of expertise, but they have expertise nonetheless. The place where we end up in a lot of trouble is with popular sources, just the stuff you Google, newspapers, magazines, and any kind of website. Those are considered popular sources, and we need to run them through an evaluation process to determine their credibility. In scholarly peer-reviewed sources, they've already gone through a very extensive review process, so they are credible through that process. And industry, trade, and government publications have also gone through an editorial process. We really want to focus on number three here, the popular sources. Now, let's review the differences between these sources. As I said, so scholarly journals use an editorial process called peer review, and it's much more rigorous than that used for popular publications such as magazines and newspapers, which have different readers, authors, purposes, and more. And that's directly from Armacost Library. And if you contact me, I will send you a PDF of these slides, and you can watch the video. That's a live link there to learn more about the peer review process. Industry, trade, and government publications. Now, they're written by professionals in specific industries, and they're meant to share with others in the same industry. So their jargon will be very specific to that industry, and you can think of examples such as Advertising Age, Design News, Retail Week, Progressive Grocer. And government publication is a document or a report, usually reports, authored by a governing body, including judicial, legislative, or executive. So court decisions, reports from the Bureau of Labor, things like that would all be considered government documents. Popular sources. Now, that's a publication just designed for the general public, a general reading audience with no special background needed. It may go through an editorial process. It may not. Newspapers, magazines, and most websites would be considered popular sources, and you can watch the video from the Armacost Library to find out a little bit more about those. These are the ones we really need to run through some sort of evaluation process. Now, think about it for a second. Which have you tended to use in your academic papers? Now, if you're relying mostly on number 3, we're going to have to think about changing that. And even in your professional life, think about it. If you've only been relying on popular sources and not specific trade and industry journals, you're losing out on a lot of opportunity. All right. Let's think about when we should use what type of source, because all of these sources have their place. You use scholarly peer-reviewed sources when you need to rely on the most credible research by the most advanced experts in the field. The review process itself ensures relevance and accuracy. So you're in pretty good space when you're working with peer-reviewed sources. You would use an industry or trade publication or a government report when you need industry-specific information that people within the industry share. And then go ahead and use those government documents when you need local, state, or national reports. Is there a place to use popular sources? Sure there is. It's when you're trying to get a sense of what people in the general public are talking about related to a subject. Okay, so keep that in mind. But what about Wikipedia? Isn't that a great source? No, it's not a great source. Hey, it's a wonderful tool, and it is a wonderful place to just get a quick intro to something. But please remember that anyone can edit Wikipedia pages. There's no editorial process, there's no review process, there's no assurance of accuracy other than pretty much what's just crowdsourced. So please watch out for that. And dictionaries. I see a lot of research papers or analytical papers that have in the first paragraph some sort of Merriam-Webster defines blah, 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 and it's some sort of business term as yada, yada. You are working at a much more expert level, a much more specific level than any dictionary can offer you. You should be turning to your textbooks, your class lectures, the articles you've been reading for your courses to determine definitions. Okay, use the definitions of the experts in the field, not just generic dictionary definitions. Okay, so now it's time to evaluate non-peer-reviewed sources. These are the sources that show up in category number 3, those popular sources. And I've got several tools for you. And what we're going to do I'm going to introduce them all, and then we will run through a sample with one of those tools. So the first one I want to point to you is the SIFT technique, and those are 4 moves you make when looking at a source. So this technique asks you to stop, to investigate, to find better coverage, and to trace the context. Where is this situated? And if you would like, you can just put SIFT in SIFT and evaluating sources in Google to find where to learn more about it. Or you can also ask for this document, and this is a live link right here. Okay. CARS is another tool. And this is a checklist to evaluate sources that starts with looking at credibility, accuracy, reasonableness, and support. Again, if you want to know more about the CARS method, go ahead and click on this link if you win the PDF that I can send you. The one that we're going to spend the most time on is called, interestingly enough, and intentionally enough, the CRAP test. And this is a classic checklist, first designed out of Cal State Chico, and it just took off around the country, and a lot of people use it now. It's a classic checklist to evaluate sources that has questions about currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. And that's the tool we're going to run through an example. Let's look at the CRAP test more closely. Here it is, and this would be a good screen grab and also a good printout in the PDF should you procure it. Okay, so the first thing is currency, and here are some questions to answer as you're looking at a source. When was the information published or posted? Right, because if you just post something, it's not published, it's just available. Has information been revised or updated? Is the information current or out of date? Are the links functional? Looking at those questions will help you determine if the article is appropriately current. Relevance. Does the information relate to your topic? Who is the intended audience? Is information at an appropriate level? Have you looked at a variety of sources? Those questions will help you determine if that source is appropriately relevant. Authority. Who's the author, publisher, source, or sponsor? What are the author's credentials? Do they have qualifications to write on this topic? Is there contact information? What does the URL reveal about the author or the source? Answering those questions and considering those questions will help you determine whether there's appropriate authority in your source. Accuracy. Where does information come from? Is information supported by evidence? Can you verify information in another source? Does the language or tone seem biased? Any spelling, grammar, or typographical errors? Thinking about those questions when looking at your source will determine whether or not it's appropriately accurate. And finally, P for purpose. What is the purpose of the information? Is it there to inform you, to teach, to sell, to entertain, to persuade? Do the authors and sponsors make their purpose clear? Is the information fact, opinion, propaganda? Does the point of view appear impartial? Are there political, ideological, cultural, religious, institutional, or personal biases that you can discern? Applying those questions will help you determine whether or not the source is appropriately purposeful. Okay, let's put this one to work. Here's an example. Now, I just Googled leadership because I have a paper to do on qualities of leadership. And chances are, I've probably just Googled and this is what came up on the first page. And you know what? Ooh, this looks interesting. What are the characteristics of a good leader? Well, if my paper's on qualities of a good leader, I might want to go look at this. Okay. I'm going to go look at it. And I'm going to use the CRAP test to figure out if this is going to be a viable source for the paper I'm writing. Currency. When was the information published or posted? Has information been revised or updated? Is the information current or out of date? Are the links functional? Okay, so there's the date. It's 2021, so that's pretty good. And let's see, here are my notes that I took. I said copyrights 2021, that's pretty good. The links, I went around clicking on links and they all work, so good. The website design is contemporary. It's simple, but it doesn't look like it's from 1998. And the webinars listed are from 2021 and 2022. Okay, seems kind of current. I feel pretty good. Let's go on to the next one. Relevance. Does the information relate to your topic? Who's the intended audience? Is information at an appropriate level? Have you looked at a variety of sources? Okay. Well, if I'm doing my paper on qualities of leadership, and this is the title, 10 Characteristics of a Good Leader, that seems pretty relevant. Okay. Here's what I found out when I poked around that site. So the info does relate. My research is on qualities of leadership. Good. The audience appears to be current or prospective leaders. So there's a lot of talk to current or prospective organizational leaders. In terms of the information provided, I couldn't really tell because I really just got a list of topics, and those topics were relevant, but I didn't see any analysis or insights about them. So that's my first red flag. Now, how does it relate to other sources? Well, I've only looked at my course textbook so far, so I don't have a broad knowledge yet. So I'm just just holding on to that and going to see how the rest of the questions turn out. Authority. Who's the author, publisher, source, or sponsor? What are the author's credentials, qualifications to write on the topic? Is there contact information? And what does the URL reveal about the author or the source? Okay, so meet our executive team. They want you to meet the team. Good. And look at all their shiny little faces. Good. Okay, and here's what they wrote about their leadership team. We strive to make the world a better place through more effective leadership. This is what their team does. They oversee day-to-day operations. And their collective, this is the most important part. Look over here on the right. Their collective leadership experience spans a diverse range of industries, including the armed forces, medicine, media, academia, technology, financial services, and business. Okay, interesting. As I kept looking around, I noticed that the author is the Center for Creative Leadership. I'm intrigued. I want to know more. The executive team is comprised of industry leaders in diverse fields. Good sign. Their contact info is provided. And they do have a .org. Now, a .org is just something you can buy, certainly. But they do want to signal something to you that's a little different than just a .com, which is just commercial. So they're trying to signal something different to you, and we have to determine whether or not they live up to that signaling. Accuracy. Where does the information come from? Is information supported by evidence? Can you verify information in another source? Does the language or tone seem biased? And are there any spelling, grammar, or other typographical errors? Well, let's look. What am I looking at here? I clicked on the Insights and Research tab, and this is the page that I landed on. And this is the title of an article, What is Psychological Safety at Work? So I'm going to try to read that. Well, this is what I found out, that yes, there are articles available on the site. Good. The articles cite experts in the field. Good. But the articles are mostly very superficial introductions to the subject matter. Red flag, because you are doing deep dives, right? You are becoming experts in your field, and you are finding more than superficial information. Here, in order to do a deeper dive, you have to purchase the webinar. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, this is a consultancy business, and they are trying to bring this service to the market. Absolutely fine. They could have some amazing insights that you would want to use in your paper. But I couldn't get to those insights because I would have had to buy them, and I have access to all the peer-reviewed scholarly research in the world. So why am I going to purchase something that may or may not prove useful? The tone seems to be for a very general business audience. There's some jargon, there's some just kind of superficial, vague language, but it is clearly written with no errors. Good sign. So in terms of accuracy, there's some green flags, some red flags. I'm a little concerned. I'm going to see how purpose shapes out. So what's the purpose of the information? Do the authors make their purpose clear? Is it fact, opinion, propaganda? Does it appear impartial? What are the ideological perspectives involved? Let's see what I found. I went to, I think, the About Us section, or our Solutions section, sorry. And I see that they want to create a leadership development solution specific to your unique culture and challenges with our expert faculty and decades of research. So they are establishing their authority, but they're very clear they want to sell you a service. Again, nothing wrong with that, but they're being upfront about their purpose. Okay, so but it's still a commercial endeavor. Now, they have a good contact us button, nice and easy to contact them, and you can. But Here's what I came up with. The information provided is essentially marketing material. Great if you're trying to market things. Not so great if someone is trying to find research on your site, the purpose of which is to sell services or solutions to organizations. Authors make the purpose clear, offering multiple opportunities to register for webinars or solicit services. And the point of view is aimed towards soliciting these services. And that's the focus. They're honest about it. It's transparent. And they provide some information to help organizational leaders see if they want to buy this service. So, based on currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose, I would say that that is not a source that I would want to use in a research analysis. I don't think it dives deep enough. Their purpose is commercial, understandably, and I really can't get to the insights. So I'm not going to use this. I ran it through the CRAP test and I decided that's not going to be a really good return on my time investment. Okay, so that's a sample of using the CRAP test. Here's our recap. When you want the most expert analysis of issues, try to work with scholarly peer-reviewed sources. When you are really focused on industry and trade issues that you want to hear from the experts within those industries, find those industry and trade publications, find government reports, government publications for reports. When you are using popular sources, make sure you're using one of these tools to run it through to determine whether or not that's going to be a valuable source for you. Does this all take a little more time? Yes. I think credibility is something you should invest time in. So thanks for coming to the Writing Lounge today. You can listen to many of the recordings. You can watch the recordings. You can also email me for the PDFs that go along with all the webinars. So I hope to see you in the Writing Lounge. We have live writing lounges every month, and you can find out all that information at redlands.edu/writing lounge. Thanks so much.